Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Sports Talk edition. November the 10th, got James here along with Roger.
Hello.
Morning.
And we're going to jump right into SEC football. A lot of things happened last week that makes Georgia just the...
And like we said, when the rankings came out, the college football playoffs people got lucky. Selections committee got lucky. Those teams are going to play themselves out. First thing we have is Georgia, Tennessee. So you're like, well, all right, one's about to have a one loss, so they're going to drop down. Sure enough.
Yeah, the college football scene, as we continue to play, will continue to change because Ohio State's going to play Michigan the day after Thanksgiving. So, or 2 days after Thanksgiving.
And Texas could really hurt TCU, or Texas really helps TCU if TCU gets a big win.
Yeah, TCU gets in and might be in 1 week, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Georgia's favored by 16 and a half on the road to Mississippi State. Mike Leach get an upset here?
I don't believe in trap games because everybody sees a schedule and their team should be ready. Coaches, play that. But you had a big win against Tennessee at home, and now you go on the road to a team that can score. I'm not saying they're going to slow you down, but they can go toe-to-toe with you. And we saw what happened with Tennessee and Bama. You let them hold around Tennessee and about scoring about Alabama at the end. And, oh, by the way, LSU just did it also. You let them hang around. If Georgia's defense lets Mississippi State hang around, man, it's on the fence.
Yeah, Georgia hasn't covered a whole lot this year, especially the overs. And the overs are set at 53 and a half. And I think that's kind of leaning more towards Mike Leach's air raid offense that he has installed that in almost every single program across.
Successfully.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, not just like Chip Kelly did and it didn't work somewhere else, but everywhere he's went.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you remember correctly, his first offensive coordinator was at Oklahoma when he had Stoops there. So that's what kind of catapulted him to national notoriety, that he had a great job doing it there. I don't know if Georgia's going to cover, but I'm going to take Georgia.
Yeah, I like Georgia's defense to keep playing well, and they shut Tennessee down that way. They'll do the same to Mississippi State, I believe. I like Georgia to win too. I don't see Mississippi State scoring too many points in this game.
Yeah, James.
I totally agree with what Ryder's saying right there. What Georgia did. Because if you look back 2 games ago, Mississippi State had a chance against Alabama to put themselves on the map, at least hang with them. They put up 6 points. So, and to me, I think Georgia's defense is way better. Obviously, we saw it against Tennessee. If you have like opponents, Alabama couldn't do anything with Tennessee. Georgia locked them down. So
Georgia's defense is amazing.
Right. So Georgia's defense coordinator, whatever game plans they put together, I think will be the same thing. And yeah, even on the road, I think it'll be closer. Points, no points, I don't know, but they both score 30-plus a game. I don't know if we get to the 53, but I do see Georgia winning this 10, 12, 14 points, somewhere in there.
And I think that's going to be the hugest. Right. Hugest factor in the game is Georgia's defense. They've allowed 10.8 points per game against some very tough opponents, where Mississippi State just outscores them because they allow 24 a game.
Yes.
So James is also on the Bulldogs, I think.
Yes.
Staying in the SEC, LSU, we mentioned them just a little while ago, at Arkansas. LSU is favored by 3.5. Overs are set at 62.
Yeah, and again, I'm going to call it, looking past or whatever, but I don't think Arkansas is getting all the love it should be getting, and LSU should be on upset alert, whatever you want to call it, but going into Arkansas, they're probably going to lose this game.
LSU coming off that big win against Alabama, I don't know. I think it carries over. I think they get it done. They need to get it done. So
I think LSU gets it done as well. Arkansas has lost some games to some really good opponents, but they've already played Alabama and lost. They've already played Mississippi State and lost. They most recently lost to Liberty, who you would never think was in the top 20, but they are. So I just don't see Arkansas getting a home win, but crazier things have happened.
Yeah, I just think LSU is going to have a huge letdown. Arkansas, it's one of the reasons I picked this game looking at it on paper. 30-plus points each, 32, 34 points each. Arkansas's defense isn't as good as LSU, but I don't think LSU is as good on the road as they are at home. Obviously, a lot of teams are better at home, but Arkansas is not easy to win at for LSU.
Right. So you're actually saying Arkansas is going to...
Yeah, I'd say Arkansas wins this game.
All right. James' upset of the week. Staying in the SEC, Bama is on the road to Lane Kiffin's coached Ole Miss. Ole Miss is number 8. Bama's number 6. They've dropped a couple spots in the rankings because they've lost a couple games.
Deservingly so.
Nick Saban's probably beside himself. So I bring that up, and I lost it the other day. I went to ESPN's website, and Feinbaum just got annihilated by Stephen A. Smith on the air, and it was hilarious. And then they also talk about how Nick Saban called them both. He called them and was upset about how they ranked them. And I'm just, really? You took the time out of your day to call some sports
writers. Yeah, not even voters.
And Feinbaum had an amazing take on that. He said, maybe you should have invested more time in getting more people, because there's a Kalashnikov Award winner that went to a different team. Maybe you should have went out of your way to make sure he found his way on your team rather than calling me.
Right. Do you think his end is near? Because I hear the rumors. We were talking about it the other day at work. Lane Kiffin is kind of jockeying for that Bama job. He wants to be Saban's replacement. I think Saban has 5 more years. I know he's 70-some years old, but I see him got at least 3 or 4 more years.
Okay. So you rolled right into what I wanted to bring up. So if Saban's calling sports writers to get his take put out there in a news article, well, what is it? Lane Kiffin's probably doing the same thing, because you said he's jockeying for that. So everything that I read about Lane Kiffin trying to get the Alabama job is every bit Lane Kiffin's PR stunt to try to get that done.
Right. Yeah. At least have him in line for it. Right.
Yeah.
But
which takes away from the Bama Ole Miss game somehow.
Right. Which totally did for us. We just moved right over.
Oh, yeah. Bama's favored by 12 on the road. Overs are set at 63.5. Roger, what do you think about this?
Traditionally, this is a high-scoring game. Mississippi usually puts up pretty good points against Alabama. Now, early in the year, I thought this is going to be another year of Alabama because their defense looked outstanding. But these last few weeks, Alabama's defense has not looked that good.
No, and isn't that weird?
Yeah, it is very weird. Because like I said, early in the season, it looked like Alabama was just shut down every team, and it just looked like they were going to roll. Now that's not the case. So I see Mississippi putting up some points. I think it'll be around that overs, 38-31, 35-31. You said over-unders was 63?
63.5.
63.5. I think it does go probably barely over, probably in a mid-30s type of score. I think Mississippi will cover.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I was going to say the same thing, Roger. I think.
I doubt they win. They usually don't beat Alabama, so I'm gonna take Alabama in a
just on the points. I'm
probably
right there with you.
6-point game.
I'm right there with you. I think Ole Miss covers, and they might get the upset, but I think they cover.
Well, yeah, their Ole Miss only really losses at Death Valley, which we were just talking about. It's hard to play there, but they put up 20 points on LSU, so they're scoring 37 a game. Alabama's scoring 41, so they're both obviously could score. But when you look at the defense, where you're talking about Alabama giving up 18, now Ole Miss 21. So they're both going to play about the same. I think Alabama's last two losses, and when you look on film, if I'm an offensive coordinator and you start seeing those holes, like we're just saying, Alabama's defense isn't the same. So if these guys are like, hey, we can move the ball on this team and they get any momentum, man, yeah, I can definitely see Ole Miss not only covering, but sneaking in a win. And then the talk comes, what about what's next for Bama? Then the storyline goes away from Ole Miss beating Alabama to what's wrong with Alabama instead of just being outplayed.
But everybody's catching up to Alabama.
Everyone catch up. Yeah, Georgia is replacing Alabama right now in the SEC.
So all three of us are taking Ole Miss to cover, unless I heard incorrectly.
No, yeah, I love Ole Miss in this game. Being at home, and like the one coach said, I don't want to call the wrong guy. If you leave here with your voice, you didn't yell loud enough. That's what Ole Miss needs to be. They need to be so loud at this game every play.
Currently, the rankings in the coaches poll: Georgia's number 1 with 61 votes. Ohio State's number 2. Michigan's number 3, and TCU's number 4. But Michigan had 2 votes for being number 1. So I briefly want to talk about the Michigan-Nebraska game. Michigan is at home. They're number 3. They're favored by 29.5. Earlier they were. Now they're, I think, favored by 31.
Yeah, that's the Casey Thompson thing. I think with it looking more and more like he's not going to play. We've seen the last 6 quarters without him. Can we get a first down, please?
Michigan just destroys us, unfortunately.
It's going to be ugly. Michigan's defense is good enough to, like James said, I don't know if we'll get a first down in this game.
Yeah, Michigan's defense is amazing. Okay, I want to move on quickly because we got a lot of ground to cover. So staying in the Big Ten, number 2, Ohio State at home, Indiana, 40 points is what they're favored by.
I mean, right now, does the points matter? I mean, if they win this game 42-35 to nothing,
yeah,
they
the
get
points
the
matter.
shutout.
The points matter because it's the college playoff scenario.
Right, but I mean, if they win 35-0, is that not a statement?
Yeah.
Your defense shut them out, but you didn't. I didn't cover the 40.
Yeah.
But I still, with 5 touchdowns and my third string played.
To me, yes, but I don't vote.
Yeah, I don't think the points matter too much when you're pitching shutouts.
Right.
Whether you're winning 28-0 or 35-0.
Yep.
I don't think you're going to be looked at to, they didn't cover their spread, so they're not very good.
If it's 30, we'll say 39-10 going into the fourth quarter. I'm pulling my starters. I got second and third string out there playing. They end up getting a field goal. We 42-10, only win by 32 points. And as a committee, you got to look at, their starters didn't even play the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Georgia, starters didn't even play. Tennessee, the one game, their starters didn't even play the whole second half. And they covered, they won by a lot. But to me, I think they have to look at that. If you're up by that many, why am I risking my guys out there in the fourth quarter in a 30-point game?
Yeah, Ohio State won't cover 40 points.
And conversely, they do get to the college football number whatever. Are there any players that sit out like they have in the past to get ready for the NFL, which then completely changes the landscape of the college football playoff?
It drives me nuts.
Something to think about. So everybody just took Ohio State because it's Indiana and they're struggling this year. Big 12, the number 4 TCU at Texas. TCU has won 4 out of the last 5, but Texas is coming on strong. TCU's favored. No, I'm sorry. Texas is favored by 7.
Yes.
The last I looked, Texas was favored by 7.
Yeah, the committee put TCU at number 4.
And they should be.
Yeah, and I believe so. I said last week that I think if Tennessee and Georgia's game would have been a lot closer, I don't think Tennessee would have dropped out of the 4, and TCU probably would have been 5th. But
that's a great take. I agree. That hits the nail on the head right there.
But TCU being 4th is right, but it might be short-lived.
Yeah.
They go on the road, Texas. Texas is favored by 7.
Which I find very high. I could see 3.5, 4 points, but 7, that's...
I think this game should be a 1-1 game. I think TCU is the better team. But they're going on the road, and they're saying on the neutral field Texas would be favored in this game. I don't buy that. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's Vegas, how they do those numbers or whatever.
In my mind, it comes down to defense. TCU allows close to 27 points a game, where Texas is allowing only 21. So I think that they're looking at it from a defensive standpoint that both teams will put up a X amount of points, but Texas will hold TCU.
And the other thing is TCU's been down early. Last 3 or 4 games, they've, given up a lead and been having to come fight back. And what I like about TCU is the defense does finally lock in and the offense gets the ball moving. And next thing you know, they're winning by 10, 15 points. And you're like, oh my God, they were just down by 10.
Is there an over-under number on this game?
64.5 is what I saw.
I like the unders a lot in this game. I do a lot.
I'm right there with you. I don't see them hitting that 64.5. I honestly see this. Oh man, I don't know. I go back and forth.
Yeah, I'm high on Texas. Well, their quarterback. I really like Ewers as their quarterback more than on Texas. Other stuff they have, I'm not a big fan watching them play, especially their last couple of games. They've really let me down. But TCU, week in, week out, impressed me. I'm just taking TCU, points or no points, straight up. I think TCU gets it done on the road, and then the committee really has to open their eyes about this team.
Did I miss it, Roger? Are you taking TCU or Texas?
Yeah, I'm taking TCU. I like them to win, too.
TCU and unders. Okay. So, Roger, you said you have something about the playoffs?
Yeah, I just wanted to just say that Alabama-Clemson looks like both teams are out. That'd be the first time neither team makes it. Since 2014, at least one or both have made the playoff, and it's looking like neither team's going to make it.
Yeah, all the other teams are catching up, especially with the transfer portal, and the transfer portal just made some changes about when they can. They put in a window of when you can transfer,
and it needed a window. I'm all about the portal. I'm fine with it for the most part, but there had to be draw the line. You can't, just all of a sudden. Anyway, back to the Clemson-Alabama thing. Neither one of them really have a good road to get back in it. I mean, Clemson doesn't have any real good wins coming in or going to have any available.
Yeah, they got a terrible resume, and
yeah,
Alabama needs everybody to lose, and they need to get to the SEC championship game and win it. And that's the only way they can get in.
And and we just don't see that happening either. I mean, even they got Auburn at the end of the year, and they're not even that good this year. So Ole Miss is like their last really good game. And even if you hang your hat on that, you're still swinging around 2 losses.
All right, I'm going to switch gears. Just talk briefly about University of Nebraska number 4 volleyball. It came out in the press that we, again, had the number 1 recruiting class.
Woohoo!
From all over the country, we've got some great players coming in. Friday, the 11th, Nebraska is going to play Iowa. That's 6 p.m. Now, there's a couple of ways you can look Big Ten Plus if you have that, but I also believe over the air Nebraska Public Media is going to carry that game. Okay, so I'm not calling Iowa an easy pass because they're in one of the toughest volleyball leagues, but then we have Ohio State at Ohio State, the 13th. Then we go back to Iowa. Then we play 15 Purdue, number 3 Wisconsin, and number 9 Minnesota to finish out the season. Tough.
Yeah, but that's what we need. I mean, they need to get battle tested quick because once that tournament comes, Big Ten tournament, then obviously the playoff or the volleyball tournament, got to be ready.
Yeah, I'm going to circle that Wisconsin match because if we lose even a couple of those, that's going to drastically change where we are paired and what regional we go to. So if we have to face Wisconsin again in the regional, that's going to be tough for us.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost like football where we just don't match up well against them. No matter how well we play and how great those girls look, when they get on the court and the serves start going, whatever reason, our offense doesn't go against their defense, but their offense nullifies the great defense that Nebraska's volleyball has been playing all year.
In addition to that, Wisconsin's defense is as good or better than Nebraska at digs and blocks, and I was amazed.
Yeah.
Moving on a little. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say the only thing I really looked at when it comes to the volleyball rank was the rankings. When did this San Diego team move up into the top ahead of us? They're second or third, right? Third, I think. San Diego?
I haven't looked at the rankings. Last
Yeah.
I knew was
I haven't either.
Wisconsin was 3. We were number 4. So I'm not sure.
Yeah. Yeah,
Are they
the
undefeated?
San Diego team is
Are they
got one
undefeated?
loss.
One loss. Okay.
And they're second or third, I thought. It must be second if you think that Wisconsin's third.
I made these notes Monday or Tuesday.
Texas is still number 1.
Texas went back to number 1. I
Right.
think their only loss was that to Iowa State.
Yeah, I don't know when this San Diego team moved up into the top 4 or top 2 or whatever they're at.
They must have some pretty good quality wins in
But
there.
they're 22-1, and they played some Big Ten teams. I believe their loss is to Stanford.
Quality.
I don't know. I just saw I saw the rankings, saw that team, kind of looked at their schedule. Don't even know what conference they play in, but I did see that they play like Hawaii, which is probably a solid volleyball team.
Yeah, I'll have to look at that.
And
I'm not sure.
they did beat a Big Ten team. So they got some quality wins, but I just don't know when they moved up to number 2 or 3 or wherever they're sitting. But they're ahead of us.
I'm going to keep it on the Huskers here a little bit. Husker women's volleyball play Friday, November 11th in Lincoln, 8 p.m. That's also on Big Ten Plus. But if you can go, they put on a great show. The Husker women are ranked. Next week, November 15th, we go to Creighton. And the men's upcoming have an invitational in Florida. It's called the ESPN Invitational, and we play Oklahoma November 24th. That's on ESPN. Just some stuff to look at. I'll try to leave a link for Huskers.com in the description. Staying on basketball, just taking a quick look at some things around the league. Roger, your Hawks are looking good. Looking real good.
Yeah, they beat the Bucks.
They did.
Ended their undefeated season. Then they turn around and lost to
Jazz.
Jazz.
Yep.
Yes.
They got some tough games. I mean, your Hawks, I was looking, they got Boston coming up, Sixers coming up twice, back and home and away thing. And then they got the Bucks again coming up. So
I want to mention the Jazz. So the Jazz have 2 important components that were previously in the Celtics organization. Will Hardy was an assistant, but also their GM.
oh, you go to Danny.
Danny Ainge is
Yeah.
building another great team.
Yeah.
Of great players. Not great names, great players.
Right. And that's what we need to get away from, man. The whole name thing. Look at the Lakers. You do the name thing and your 2 or 3 wins, you put a good team together, and look at Utah.
And this is going to go into the name Trae Young sat when they beat the Bucks. And
Yes, he did.
oh,
Yeah.
the rookie AJ Griffin came off the bench 31 minutes and had 24 points. I feel they play a little bit better team basketball. And previously last year, I noticed a lot of teams, when they double teamed Trae Young, Atlanta faltered really, really, really badly.
But isn't this what a coach wants to do? Sit that star, let those other guys get them. And so not only let Trey say, okay, look, these guys can play, because I know Trae Young is a team player. He's not a ball hog. I don't need 45 shots a game like some players. But just to let them get comfortable, because sometimes they feed off the star, right? So,
They do.
Trae Young's struggling. He's getting double teamed. I need to step up, and they put pressure on themselves. But if they stay within their game, like I was watching the Knicks Nets last night, and they had some of their urine guys. Seth Curry finally comes back. Obviously, we know he's proven, but they had 2 other guys I didn't know, but they were just making little jumpers, hit a couple threes, while Knicks continue to double and triple team Durant. Rightfully so. He's their biggest star.
But he still got a triple-double.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So Durant's like, yep, I'm going to kick it. But the thing is, these guys were making the shots. And once the Atlanta Hawks, they get in the playoffs again, and they do that, and they start making those shots, that's what puts those teams. We know the superstars are going to get theirs. Jaylen Brown and Tatum, they're going to get their 30, but we need those other guys to get to 18 and 20s.
Yeah.
November 14th, your Hawks play in Milwaukee.
Murray, the guy that DeJounte Murray,
Devontae Murray, I think, or something like that. Devontae Murray.
They got him from San Antonio Spurs.
Yeah, that was a great.
Their backcourt's really good. He's from the stats that I've seen, he's always putting up around close to 20 points, and he's getting 6, 7, 8 rebounds and giving up 6, 7, 8 assists. He's almost comparable to Trae Young's stats so far this year.
Was it Collins that they sent to the Knicks?
No, John Collins is still with it's Cam Reddish.
That's who it was, Cam Reddish. Right. Yeah. So the Hawks have Justin Holiday, and the Bucks have Drew Holiday, brothers. Right. I didn't realize that they were brothers.
I didn't know they were brothers either.
So, the other game we were looking forward to is the Cavaliers-Bucks is coming up. I know Cavs just lost, but I think
Wednesday, November 16th.
Yes.
Cavaliers play at Milwaukee.
Yep. That should be a really good game. I'm hoping is a really good game and kind of test the waters for that East.
Working backwards, November the 16th, the Celtics go to Atlanta. That's an ESPN game at 6:30. November the 13th, the Nets, who are actually surging now, are going to be at the Lakers. And the Lakers continue to just have issues. LeBron went out last night with a strained groin, they think, and they're going to test it. November the 12th, the Hawks at 76ers. You guys talk about that. And then this Friday, the Nuggets come to Boston. That's on NBA TV. And the Cavs go to San Francisco to take on the Warriors, who are really struggling.
And out of nowhere. No really key injury that I've seen. Just, obviously Thompson's not shooting the ball well and whatever, but
yeah, their bench isn't doing a very good job. Their bench is doing horrible, and it's Curry that's keeping them on their back. So if he goes down with an injury, oof.
And when they started the season, we're like, oh my goodness, their bench is playing extremely well. They're moving the ball. It was really balanced. And then all of a sudden, I don't know what happened. But switching gears on you is that Clippers-Lakers last night. Now the Clippers, it used to be the younger brother, and it was all about the Lakers, blah, blah, blah. Clippers have beat them like 9 straight now.
The Clippers are looking great with Paul George.
Yeah. And they're doing it without Kawhi.
Who's out indefinitely, I heard.
Right. And like we said last week, I was like, dude, he gets a free pass because he's a good player, but something's got to be brought up about being injury prone and never available. You have the Lakers with all their superstars playing, and now you have Paul George on a Clippers team pretty much carrying them without their superstar, and they're still winning games.
And it makes me feel bad for Kawhi because he's such a great player, but has he worn out that knee to the point where they can't fix it? That's a guess on my part. I don't know.
No, I agree. And with today's sports medicine and physical therapy and all that, how are we not 3-4 years removed any better?
And if the injuries would have happened to anybody, a lower caliber player than Kawhi, they wouldn't have been.
No.
What would we figure out? It was almost 2 straight years that he hasn't played.
Yeah. Or he's like 50 games in 2 years.
Well, the same thing happened to Klay Thompson, but he's still in the league because he is Klay Thompson, and he's just a perennial three-point shooter.
And you get these football guys, I'm changing sports, but that come back 8 months later after a torn ACL. OBJ will be the next, but Michael Gallup for the Cowboys did his last December. He's already played 2 games, had a really good one this past week. And arguably just as hard, if not harder, running on that knee than what you would do in basketball.
And Drew Brees was let go, I think, by the Dolphins when he hurt his shoulder.
Yeah.
And it was Peyton that took a chance on him, rehabbed the shoulder, and they got a Super Bowl out of the deal. So
and Chargers are still looking for that elusive Super Bowl. Because they took Phillip Rivers.
I said Dolphins. That was Chargers.
Yeah, they took Phillip Rivers. And I can't disagree with that. When you're looking at Phillip Rivers or Drew Brees at that time, we have to go all the way back. Obviously, hindsight 2020. You go all the way back and you're like, okay, I have Phillip Rivers, the bigger, stronger guy, and I got Drew Brees, who's a smaller, can't see over the line type guy. I can't falter the Chargers for taking Phillip Rivers. He had a great career also. So, but yeah, Drew Brees got to ring and Phillip doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, one quick touch on going back to the NBA, but can we stop blaming Russell Westbrook
for
the Lakers' problems?
Please.
I'm just like, it's not all his fault anymore.
No.
It never was.
Never was. And look, his last couple of games come off the bench, and he's all of a sudden happier, which I'm kind of worried about.
Yeah.
But he's like, and I'm just going to go in there and do my thing, and he is carrying the second squad.
Yeah. But he also had, even though he's coming off the bench, he has more minutes than the starter.
Right.
So I honestly wonder, is that a Patrick Beverley problem?
You mean another big name that doesn't gel when you just throw him in the lineup? Weird. I don't know.
We'll never know.
Isn't Beverly with the Lakers?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's the one who's starting in place of. But I wholeheartedly agree with you, Roger. He was super close to getting a triple-double the other day off the bench.
Yeah.
And Beverly was brought in because what was all the talk last year? The Lakers need defense. We need to be able to shut guys down. We need to chase the Steph Currys. So you bring in Beverly, and all of a sudden now LeBron's like, well, we don't have any snipers. We don't have any real shooters.
Yeah.
I thought that was you, but I don't know if you saw that stat I sent. LeBron is shooting the NBA worst 3-point percentage.
I just don't get why they think, and it's just the NBA, they think they have to chuck up 35 3-pointers a game.
Oh my gosh.
Just take the ball to the rim. If you have Anthony Davis and LeBron James that can get the ball to the rim, shoot at 65% rate, you're going to score 120 points and win ball games.
And these refs are already on their side. Yes, if you tell LeBron, AD, Westbrook, just go to the rim, we'll live at the free throw line, they would win games just by putting the other team in foul trouble.
Yeah.
Shoot, cut it down. Shoot 12.
Half, yeah.
Shoot 12 3-pointers a game and take everything else to the rim.
Have some fun. Go out there and look at the NBA scoring, what it was prior to the 3-point line and how many 100-point games. There were a lot.
Yeah.
There are a lot.
You watch highlights on ESPN, and that's all they do. They count the 3-pointers. They count the 3-pointers. I'm like, I hate the 3-pointer. I mean, take the ball to the rim.
I don't mind the wide open. I don't like it when the guy's in you, they do the little sway his hips, swing the ball, and then I pull it right with the guy in my grill. And if it goes in, they're like, oh, got it. But majority of the time, he misses it. How about if you dribble in, you kick out, the guy's wide open in the corner, that's a great play. But when you just swinging it around the top and you're waiting, and next thing somebody's heaving it up because the shot clock's at 3 and there's a guy in his face, I'm like, that's the worst shot in basketball.
Team ball, that's what's winning right now.
Mm-hmm.
And Utah Jazz are doing a great job of team ball.
Yeah.
Tonight on NBA TV, the 76ers are taking on Rogers Hawks at 6:30. If you have NBA TV and a Hawks fan or a 76ers fan and want to watch a really great game, I think that's going to be a good one. Your Hawks were favored by 1 at home, but Joel Embiid's playing some really good ball. James Harden's out right now, who actually looked really good condition-wise from last year.
Joel Embiid might be the best player in the NBA. He's good. He's good.
Yeah, I still can't get away from Giannis. I mean, he doesn't shoot as well from the outside, but
correct. That didn't cross my mind right when I said that, but yeah.
I mean, right, inside out.
I think you're saying one of the top players, and he is one of the top players.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, but right now the big guys. I mean, like we just talking about the threes, but right now, if I was building a team, you got to build around Giannis as opposed to a Steph Curry.
Yeah.
They're saying Bogdan Bogdanović may not play tonight, but they still have the Hawks favored. He's pretty good. The guy there for your Hawks.
Milwaukee's 2-0 with Giannis out, by the way.
Yeah.
He was out last night, and then they won in double overtime, I believe.
Chris Middleton's not back yet either.
Mm-mm. So they can be very dangerous. They're starting to figure it out without their superstar also.
Well, they have amazing cast.
Oh, yes.
They really do.
And a great coach.
So Roger had put together some stats and some interesting things about hockey. His buddy sent us a little comment. Was one of the first shows that we did. He's like, hey, you guys don't do any hockey. And then we talked. We're like, well, I'm not. I used to be a hockey fan. I was. And it was around the time that Colorado Avalanche had won their championship. And within a year or two, all the players went on strike after just having been on strike within the last 5 years.
Right.
And I went, you know what? I'm done. I'm done with you guys for some reason.
And it's not fair to them because baseball goes on strike and we go back. Football goes on strike and we go back. But for whatever reason, it seems like every time there's a collective bargaining with hockey, they go on strike. And all for it, hey, stand up for yourselves. Not that we do that. Get your contract that you want, the money you deserve, but hockey just doesn't bring in the billions of dollars, TV networking and all that these other sports do. So that money that you want, isn't really on the table.
But it's also who carries their games, because I was still trying to be a fan at that time, but they had the game switched to, I believe it was the Outdoor Network, which wasn't on my cable plan at the time. And I went, I'm not spending more money just to watch a little hockey here and there.
Well, and that's it. Like we're talking about the WNBA. If they're not on TV, how are we supposed to watch? When, all these fans have moved away, so the ratings are low, so I'm not going to put it in my prime spot.
But there's still a lot of hockey fans out there. And
there is.
And Roger has an interesting stat for a guy who broke Gordie Howe's record.
Yes, Alex Ovechkin. Yeah, 18 seasons with the Washington Capitals, same team, scored 787 goals and broke Gordie Howe's record of 786. And Gordie Howe, by the way, played 25 seasons with the Detroit Red Wings. Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? 18 seasons of 25.
Right.
So Gordie did it in 25, where Ovechkin did it in 18.
Yes.
I thought that was huge.
Isn't he like 80 now? Is he like Tom Brady of hockey, Ovechkin? Every time I see him, I'm like, dude, you look like you're 50.
I don't think he's, I don't know.
I mean, when you see
that.
him, do you see his picture? He's got all the gray hair going and the beard, and I'm just like, dude, you look like you've been playing for 50 years.
Yeah.
But really good. I love Ovechkin. I'm not a Capitals fan.
37.
He's only, man, he is stressed, that poor guy.
Yeah.
Just keep scoring, buddy.
Yeah. Early, of course, the Colorado Avalanche won hockey's Stanley Cup last year, and they are the favorites again this year.
Talent. Man, they're loaded.
And Florida Panthers, Tampa Bay Leafs, and the Rangers are the next 4 teams that are favored to win. And just quickly looking over the standings last night, I've noticed that.
What about the Hurricanes? Isn't Carolina Hurricanes, or they're not even up in that favored?
Well, they might. I just looked at the top 5.
Okay,
favorites.
top 5. Okay.
And of course, hockey, they don't have ties no more. You get 2 points for a win, 1 point for an overtime loss, and then they go on this point system. And looking over that point system last night, those 5 teams are ranked somewhere around 6th or lower. So we have a lot of underrated teams playing very well in hockey.
And it's an early season.
Yeah. In the Western Conference, we have the Vegas Knights and the Seattle Kraken, the 2 youngest franchises in hockey. Vegas just came in the league, 5 years ago? Kraken last year. And they're sitting at 1 and 2.
Do you know how that happened? They gave them just an amazing amount of picks to get some of the best players. And they're the youngest franchises, and they have some of the best players.
Yes.
And the other franchises are really upset about how they went about adding these expansion teams to get some of the best players.
Look at football. Carolina Panthers and the Jaguars came in the league. Both of them were already in the playoffs. Jaguars made a huge run. Because they do that expansion draft, and they give them because if you're a new franchise and you're trying to keep up, you want to be at that level quick.
Yes.
But hockey went a little, I can't say too far, but a little much. And then now these teams are loaded with talent.
Yeah, but I guess just looking at the standings quick, I mean, if you're a hockey fan, it just looks like I said, the young teams, the underrated teams are playing well. I know the season's young, and generally in an 82-game season, it plays its way out. But right now, I mean, it just looks like some of the underrated teams are doing pretty good.
I saw a very scary and interesting clip the other day. Edmonton Oilers forward Evander Kane is going to be out 3 to 4 months. And he got down on the ice, and somebody's skate lacerated close to his wrist area. And you could see blood on the ice, and he was freaking out. You could see in the clip, and he's just skating over to his bench as quickly as possible. And the way my mind works, it's very visual, and it took me back to a Vince Vaughn movie of Swingers, I think 91 or 92, something like that, where he's playing video games with his guys, and they're like, I could make Wayne Gretzky's head bleed in this game.
That's hockey, right?
And that's hockey.
Yeah.
And what made me think about that is the amount of blood that came out of Kane's wrist, and it was on the ice. And I mean, that was scary.
And then going back to And like I said, I'm not a hockey fan. I haven't watched it, but I did not realize that the overtime rule change in hockey. And we talked about this briefly before the show started, and you guys were aware of it, but I was not aware of the 3-on-3 5-minute period. And then they go into a shootout if nobody scores in that 3-on-3 5-minute period. I wasn't aware of that.
And every sport goes through changes. You guys are a huge MLB fan, and you have liked certain changes and then have not liked certain changes. Yeah. And then the addition of the wild card was actually huge because it allowed Kansas City Royals to win. It allowed the Chicago Cubs to win. And had they not included those wild cards, you wouldn't have had that.
Yeah. Well, and you can equivalent to the baseball putting a guy on second in extra innings. The runner, the last guy made the last out, goes to second base in extra innings, which, by the way, is going away next year. They're trying to get away from the 14, 15, 16 inning games. So, hey, we need to speed it up, put a guy on second. Well, in typical fashion, we still swing for the fences instead of getting that guy to third and scoring him. Yeah. So, I mean, it did we didn't have a whole lot of those 15 inning games, but yeah, so the hockey was like, we're having way too many ties. This 5-on-5 at the end of the game, it's still cluttered up. They're all playing defensively. Let's open it up, kind of like what they did with the All-Star game when they do a little 3-on-3, a little more ice to work with, a lot less ties. Fans don't want to see ties, but I also don't want to sit in the stands for a 16-inning game.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I have no problem kind of speeding it up, and hockey, I think, did a good job.
And then in this, God, I just lost my train of thought. But anyway, I heard a guy talking about this 3-on-3 hockey, and he was just going off about how it's just so exciting. Yes. And then the next question was somebody asked him, well, why don't they just do it all the time? Well, obviously, they couldn't keep up with that pace of game.
Right. For a sport where you're sprinting the entire time on skates?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
It would change your draft. I won't say 3-on-3, but I say go to 4-on-4. You take away a defenseman, and now all your line changes are just a little bit more. But just, I mean, these guys are so fast.
You'll probably see a lot higher scoring games.
Right.
Yeah. When I started doing some of this research, I came across some interesting quotes from Wayne Gretzky, and he said, you can ask me questions about my scoring, but I'm not a big fan of that. But I will love to talk about all of my assists because this is a team sport. And he said, I so much wanted to set up my team to win. And if I could get them into a spot where I can assist them goals, he said, to me, that was more important than all my goals. I will talk assists all day long, and I would prefer not to talk about my goals.
Did 100%. You get 1 point for a goal and 1 point for an assist. If you took away all of Wayne Gretzky's 894 goals, he would still be the point leader in the NHL.
Right, because of the amount of assists he has.
And that's what made him so dangerous. They're like, oh, my gosh, he can score. Yeah. Oh, crap, he's going to pass it. Like Russell Westbrook when he's averaging a triple-double. Crap, he's going to put up 30.
Yeah.
Oh, crap, he's going to have 15 assists. So
if you keep a keen eye on how teams play, I was watching my Celtics play, and I cringed when Jason Tatum had the chance to pass to a wide-open guy who was hot, on fire at the moment, and then he decided to dribble it and take it to the hoop and then threw up a double team contested shot and missed it, and then they went down the court. Somebody else brought it back. The guy that was hot was wide open, and he threw it to him.
Right.
And I'm like...
Whereas that mentality is so gone in this generation.
And I was sad because Jason's a great player, but he's not always a great team player.
Yeah.
And that showed up in last year's finals.
Yeah. When you're talking about... sorry, go ahead.
And then one more shout out to one more thing in hockey. Phil Kessel.
Oh, Iron Man.
Has played in 990-plus consecutive games now, and he is the Iron Man of hockey. Almost 13 years of playing hockey without missing a game.
And hockey's
without
tough.
missing a game.
Yeah.
And, of course, we all know who the baseball Iron Man is, Ripken, with 26-32. And in the NFL...
Brett
Favre with 297. Do you know, either one of you know who the NBA Iron Man is?
What team? Give me a hint.
Lakers.
What? Was it Cream?
No.
No?
Magic Johnson.
Nope.
Worthy.
No.
Rambus.
No, AC Green.
Oh, AC Green.
1,192 consecutive games.
Man,
1,190.
Dude, he D'd up Bird so great. He was one of those quiet players that just did his job every day. But I want to go back to your hockey thing when we were talking about the scoring. Ovechkin, it'd be interesting to see his shots because I said Gordie Howe took 25 seasons. How many more assists Howe has over Ovechkin, who I know Ovechkin's a scorer. He's not a big Gretzky. I would need to get the other assist in, but he scores. I think Gordie Howe is more of a dual threat guy.
Yeah, and I don't know if the
points were the same.
The whole point system was the same back then.
I just the number of shots to get him there. I wonder if Gordie Howe is actually lower, but also was an assist, a true center.
But playing 25 years of hockey.
Jeez.
Yeah.
And they didn't wear helmets back then, right? Wasn't Gordie Howe a non-helmet guy?
I don't think they put in the same rule they put in for Tom Brady for Gordie Howe.
No, not yet.
I think he pretty much got his head taken off for 25 years.
Yeah.
And the way you say that, also, the guys that lose their teeth, it's like a wrestler that has cauliflower ear. It's prideful for them to show off that this is my battle wounds.
Right. Yeah. Let me take out my bridge.
Yeah.
All right. So we mentioned Brady. Let's move on, unless you have anything else.
No.
NFL. We're at the point where everybody's talking about playoffs for college football and also playoffs for NFL. And some teams have to start winning, otherwise they're going to be watching it from their vacation homes.
And some teams might as well start getting their vacation homes clean because that's where they're going to be.
Yeah.
Green Bay Packers.
And some big teams.
Yes.
Teams that we thought were
Packers, Rams.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys mentioned Packers. We'll start with the Packers. Mike McCarthy makes his return to Green Bay as a coach with the Dallas Cowboys. And if Brett Favre doesn't turn it around, they lost to the Lions.
Rodgers.
Yeah, I said Brett Favre. Gosh, I just can't stop saying Brett Favre. Brett Favre.
Favre.
Aaron Rodgers threw 2 key picks.
3 inside the 25.
But 2 of them, okay, fair enough. 3 of them within the 25.
2 at the end zone, you're right.
2 at the end zone.
Yeah.
He pulled a Denver Broncos.
He's already got 7 interceptions.
You stole my thunder. I was going to go, he pulled a running back faux pas from the Denver Broncos. But.
Yeah,
he's already thrown 7 interceptions this year. He typically throws around 4, 5, 6. That's why he's always considered one of the best quarterbacks, because he does not turn the ball over.
Right.
He's got 7 in 9 games this year.
And those 3, and some of those during the season, like of those 7, I think 3 were tipped, that you can maybe not put on the quarterback that do. But those 3 against Detroit were all 3 100% on him, where you're like, dude, what are we doing here?
No, you made a key point. Sometimes it's not the quarterback's fault, and I've watched a number of interceptions where the wide receiver didn't even go for the ball
or play defense.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying that's what happened for every single
those
one.
3. Right.
I found it interesting that you watch certain players let them have it. No, that's not how you play the ball.
No.
Anyway, Cowboys are favored by 5 on the road. Overs are set at 43. I think that's high, unless the Cowboys score all 43, because the Packers just aren't scoring.
All year. It's not like it's a recent thing. Most of the year they haven't really put up points.
It's amazing that you watch college and you watch a team score 50 points a game and another team score 10. It's a 40-point spread.
Right.
In the pros, you watch Dallas Cowboys put up 30. Packers can't score 10. Why ain't it a 20-point spread? My thing is always 4 or 5, and you're like, God, they should cover that easy.
But as a Cowboys fan, Rodgers and Green Bay, no matter what favorite Dallas has went in or even had the better on paper lineup, Rodgers and Green Bay has found a way to put a damper on Dallas. Call it Garrett, whoever was a coach at the time, but somehow they would always come out, either win or make it a really close game than what it shouldn't have been. So that's the only thing I can think of is, one, you're playing in Green Bay. It's not easy to play there. It's an outside game in the cold, so maybe there's not going to be a lot of points. Dallas is kind of running the ball well. I give it to them. They're trying. Zeke apparently is questionable, which is weird because last week they said if it was a playoff game, he would play. And then I read this morning just to kind of keep up to date. He's feeling good, but he's questionable. I'm like, wait a minute, you were a full go. That's why we waited for the bye week. And now you're, anyway, I think Zeke's going to play, but I think Dallas covers. I don't know if they put up 35 points, like I said, outdoor and in the cold. I don't know how many they're going to score.
I feel Dallas is better with Zeke on the sideline.
I agree.
Anthony Pollard is just amazing.
Yeah.
Zeke is a great bruiser back, but for some reason, they play better with Pollard out there. 44-degree game time weather, unless something crazy happens out there. I see the Cowboys covering. James sees the Cowboys covering. Roger?
I see the Cowboys covering.
Yeah.
You always want to try to pick that upset, but I can't pick that one here.
Oh, my upset's coming later. It's not even on the list. So I'm going to be adding it. I forgot to add that.
Yeah.
If Aaron Rodgers somehow figures it out, I would, and this is going to sound weird, even as a Cowboys fan, he gets that win against his former coach.
Right.
I say kudos to you. But I just don't see him having the receivers or the confidence in the receivers having in him. I just, it's not there.
Even that, though, it's not like Dallas has a mediocre defense.
No.
He's going to try to figure it out against a defense that I'm not saying playing lights out. They obviously gave up 29 against the Bears, but are playing extremely well where those receivers are going to have a fit, and including him trying to get rid of the ball before Micah, Lawrence, Dorrance Armstrong get all up on him.
Moving on to a similar scenario with the Seahawks and the Bucks. The Bucks have had issues all year long, and the Seahawks have just been on fire with Geno Smith. Geno Smith has 15 touchdowns.
So tell me how Tampa's favored in this game. I mean, I can't even call this an upset. I'm pretty sure I'm guessing we're all going to pick Seattle. But
because
how is this an upset?
Tom Brady figured it out last week, I guess.
Did he?
Yeah.
Right. Is anyone, did you guys watch that horrible football game called the Bucks and Rams last week?
How many games were there horrible?
Oh, my gosh, too many.
Yeah.
But here you have the Super Bowl champions, a Tampa team that, played with them, trying to, in the playoffs last year. And you have Tom Brady, you have Stafford, you have all these pieces and great players. And, that was just a horrible game.
Oh, it was terrible.
It was. Okay, so Tom Brady only has 10 touchdowns on the year, but he only has one interception.
Yes.
He's really good at eating the ball, or he's really good at throwing it out. I just don't see them winning at home against Geno Smith.
At 45, I'm hoping making those bad decisions aren't there. To me, his picks are the ball got tipped, the receiver fell down. That's the other thing that you don't really see on the stat sheet is when the receiver makes a cut, he falls completely down, and the defender's like, oh, crap, look, ball's in my hand. So, yeah, Brady, I don't think, makes bad decisions as far as throwing picks. But some of his throws, you can talk drops, are bad throws. I mean, yeah, we can go into that. I don't know how they're favored. I think Seattle wins this easily. I can't say easily, but yeah.
Mike Evans is questionable for the Bucks, but he had that huge pass that kind of set up. He had that huge drop of the pass that set up their loss. Was it 2 weeks ago? That was dismal. But yeah, I'm taking the Seahawks. Roger, what's your take on this game?
I don't know. We talked about the bad games last week, and the Bucks, the Rams, the Titans completely shut down the Chiefs for almost that whole game, and then all of a sudden they just let the Chiefs go right down the field and score and get a 2-point conversion. And the Falcons did the same thing with the Chargers. They played well against the Chargers until Chargers had the ball last, went right down the field, scored. And it's just, you watch 58 minutes of good defense, and then all of a sudden they just, let them.
Yeah,
Tom Brady got the ball back with 50 seconds to go and no timeouts.
Right.
When he took that last snap to score the touchdown, there was still 13 seconds on the play clock. He went 60 yards in 37 seconds.
Right.
I was like, he didn't do that all game long, and you let him do it in 37 seconds?
Right. So what did he figure out that all of a sudden you didn't know in 58 minutes? Here, I can't even barely get a first down. We're punting like crazy.
Yeah.
But now that I have 50 seconds left, We're just going to run these 6 plays. We're going to move right down the field and score. And yeah, where was this all game?
And what's with Cooper Kupp sliding? When did he become a quarterback? I mean, we want to stay in bounds so we can run the clock.
Right.
He had the first down.
I heard
Just put your shoulder down and get the first down. And then Jalen Ramsey calls out the offense, and they're like, oh, well, he's out of line. No, he ain't. That was terrible.
So Cooper only slides because he's told. I'm guessing they said, hey, whatever you do, stay in bounds when we run this little sweep with you. Why slide? If you dive forward, one, you get all those yards, and it's third and short. But now when you slide, it's right where you start.
You're giving up.
Right, you're giving up.
Yeah, and they mark it back to where the ball is when you start your slide.
Yeah.
So if you're a 6-foot person, you're 4 feet back.
Right.
The ball's 4 feet back from your feet.
But if you dive forward,
yeah, you're right.
You're going to get wherever you go.
And you stick the ball out when you're diving.
And your momentum's going. So even if they hit you out of bounds, you still are inbound.
Yeah.
So there's so the slide was dumb. But to me, the coach told his players, hey, we have a better, and this was already brought up, so this isn't my idea. We have a better chance of running the clock out than we do a first down. You're telling me our best chances to beat these guys is to run the clock.
Confidence in anything.
Exactly. That's exactly right. Instead of trying to, hey, we just need 1 first down, you guys.
Yeah.
1 first down, let's get it and get this game over.
And then when the defense comes back out on, what kind of defense did he call for 59 minutes that he didn't call for the last minute?
Let's not get beat by the big play. Let's everything in front of us. No.
I say,
in their face.
I say, let them score in 10 seconds. Maybe you get the ball back with 40 seconds and you do something. I don't get it.
Okay. Seahawks or Bucks?
No, you're still asking me that. I'm going to take the Bucks because I think the Bucks win the South and somehow get to the playoffs. And they shouldn't. They shouldn't. They shouldn't have won last week. The Falcons should have won. Falcons should have a 2-game lead on them. But whatever. It is what it is.
While you're there, do you think the Bucks win the South? You don't think Atlanta could pull it out?
No, the Bucks are going to win the South.
What else? You know what's bad? They're going to win it and be 8-9. They're going to have a team below 500 in the playoffs.
Yeah, probably.
Giants won the Super Bowl as a wild card, so it can happen.
Yeah.
And again, it gets back to when you peak.
Yeah.
It gets back to when you
peak.
peak.
Defense.
Yeah.
Giants had a defense.
Chargers are playing at the 49ers. Niners are favored by 7. Overs are set at 45.5. Chargers have been a little bit up and down, so are the Niners. But the Niners are coming on strong. They're still dealing with a few injuries all over the place. But Christian McCaffrey has had another week to practice, which has made him even more dangerous, I think.
And Chargers haven't looked good. I know they're 5-3 somehow.
Yeah.
And not that they're equivalent to the Bucks, but I don't know how they win week in and week out. They've had a lot of injuries also. I love Herbert as a quarterback, but Chargers have issues. I see the 49ers running away with it.
Yeah, 49ers are going to continue to get better. They're going to continue to get healthier. Of course, adding Christian McCaffrey does make them a better football team. I liked them before Christian McCaffrey, but
before Christian McCaffrey got added, you said they were the best team in NFL.
Yeah.
But explain that. Why do you think they are?
I think they have the best roster in the NFL. I think they have the best. I'm not going to say the best players at every position, but they have good players at every position.
They have a great defense.
And they have a great defense. They got good linebackers. They, like I said, they never blitz, but yet they put the most pressure on the quarterback of all the teams with just their 4-down linemen. They have. I just everything that I hear about them. Players in the right position, good roster. They're of course their weakest spot is their quarterback, and he's not bad. I mean, he's a good quarterback. So,
and everything that you pointed out to me says that the coach is doing an amazing job.
Yeah.
Yet they went with their rookie, who I think would have bombed their season, and yet Garoppolo is getting them in a spot where they're really, really good.
It's actually his second year, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Trey Lance's second season.
Yeah, I know. I called him a rookie, but you're right. It is his second season.
But it would have been his first year starting, and I 100% agree with you. That was a horrible call, and they got bailed out that no one actually traded or gave up for Garoppolo.
Yeah.
It's an interesting predicament. It truly is, because what do you do after this? You were trying to get rid of him. You were trying to
Right.
get rid of him.
And say they go into to win, even they go to the MC championship game. Season's up. They lose a tight one, 27-24. Who cares? Then you go into the offseason. Again, is it, hey, Trey Lance will be healthy. He's going to be our guy next year. We're going to trade Garoppolo. Even though, once again, he has led you to the playoffs, to the NFC championship game. Granted, he lost. But how do you give up that commodity when you have a quarterbacks in these leagues that, I can think of 3 right now that might never even see an NFC, AFC championship game, and people think it's their guy.
I don't know if he's going to find a team if the 3 top QBs in the NCAA are healthy at draft time. You're going to get potentially some really good quarterbacks in the NFL.
Potentially, right?
Yeah. Because the reason I mentioned potentially is there's always draft busts.
Oh, my goodness.
So I feel that all 3 of us took the Niners
Yes.
Yeah.
at home.
No, Chargers are at home, right? Or not?
No, Niners are at home.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right,
that's
that makes sense why
yeah.
it's 7 points in.
Yeah. And it's the Sunday night game. Man, can I get a good Sunday night game for crying out loud?
Yeah, I think this will be a good
geez.
one.
I hope it is.
I think
Yeah.
the Chargers are going to come out possessed.
Yeah. I mean,
Thursday night's game tonight.
right, tonight you have your Falcons,
Falcons and Carolina.
Right. Atlanta at home.
If your Falcons just don't beat up on them, I don't know what's going to happen.
You're right. I don't understand it, but they won't. The Falcons defense is not good, and I don't know if
these are the 2 that just played a couple weeks ago, where Carolina would have won at the end if the guy didn't blow it, take his helmet off and all that, and they missed the extra point, and Atlanta comes back and wins the game, which is, first I was like, Atlanta, you blew it. That was horrible defense for prevent. You let the guy get behind you. Then on the flip side, Knucklehead makes the play, takes off his helmet. They miss the extra point. Atlanta wins. And I'm like, you deserve to lose when you're going to be a knucklehead.
Yeah. And
now you have a rematch. I totally see Atlanta winning this game by 10.
I'm going to completely change gears here. Speaking of knuckleheads, the knucklehead owns the Commanders and is trying to find a
buyer.
A buyer. They're on the road to the Eagles, who are 8-0. And the Commanders have had some interesting upsets this year. But they come in as an 11-point underdog. Overs are set at 44. And this is the Monday night matchup.
Yeah, Eagles all the way. Eagles cover.
All right. Obviously, I'm a Cowboys fan. So I think the Eagles are going to win mainly because they have quarterback issues. But when you look at this 8-0 team, right, the only win they have that is a quality win, in my opinion, is Minnesota. They gave Minnesota their lone loss week 2. But they have beaten a Detroit team. They beat Washington. They beat the Jags. Cowboys without Dak, and that was a close game. They beat Pittsburgh, and they beat the Houston Texans. I mean, when you look at their, I'm like, they're 8-0. But do you remember a couple of years ago when the Steelers were 9-10-0? Dallas almost beat them on a Monday night game. And everybody's talking about Ben Roethlisberger's been going to make this run. And then they lose 2 or 3 in a row. They get in the playoffs, these first round, and they're out. This is what this Eagle team says to me. I don't think they lose tonight, but I think they're the weakest 8-0 team I've ever seen next to that Steelers team. I mean, Washington has some upsets. I hope as a division game, they lock it in and maybe play the spoiler.
I'm taking the Commanders. This is my upset. It's Monday night. In my heart, Eagles just crushed their soul on the field, but I want the Commanders to get the upset.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope Monday night's games have been a little bit better than the Sunday night games. Yeah, I'm going to pull for the Commanders to go ahead and give them that upset win.
Because they lost to the Minnesota Vikings by 3. The Minnesota Vikings are really good.
Yeah. They're good. I'm not on that wagon either on Minnesota. I mean, I know the next game we got the Vikes Bills.
They're 7-1.
Mm-hmm. They just really haven't been challenged either. You know what I'm saying?
All right. Moving on. You guys both took Eagles. I took Commanders.
Right.
And moving on to the Sunday noon game, the Vikings 7-1, who we just talked about, at the 6-2 Bills. Bills are favored by 6. Their quarterback's questionable.
Yeah, and it's looking more and more doubtful.
Yes.
What I saw this morning.
Yeah, it's not sounding too good.
And
That actually might help them out.
right.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm talking for the long haul. I'm
Right.
not talking just this week.
Well,
No,
they
I
got
know.
the bye week right
He's
after.
got an elbow issue, and so
He threw a 70-yard pass.
I know
right after that injury.
right after they were talking about it. So
Right.
and
And
how
that was-
bad is it? We don't know,
Yeah.
but
Okay, so
Yeah.
he's thrown 19 touchdowns, but he also has 8 interceptions.
Yep.
So honestly, I don't even know who their backup is.
Case Keenum.
Oh boy, I feel sorry for you,
I
Bills, because I've watched him play. Having been a Broncos fan, and I hope he's learned a lot. They unfortunately, they being the Broncos, used him too early. They didn't
right.
give him any NFL chance at all.
This kind of reminds me of when Dak went down with the Cowboys, except Bills have already established themselves. So Case Keenum is pretty much just walking into a set offense and a really, really, really good defense, a lot like the Cowboys.
But the other side of that is, Josh Allen was potentially one of their leading rushers as well.
Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah. He accounts for, as of 25 touchdowns, he either
Yeah.
threw or ran for 23 of them. So you're right. He is all theirs. But I think like the Cowboys, we don't have to put up 35, 40 points. If our defense can keep us in the game, Keenum can manage the game and they run the ball, dink and dunk down the field. Even if they kick 1 touchdown and kick 3 field goals. And Minnesota's been shown that if you can slow their offense down like a couple teams have, and they like the Detroit Lions even did, slow them down a lot, and they had to come back late to beat them. I think the Bills can do it, and the Bills are at home. It is very loud and very tough to play in Buffalo.
Buffalo's favored by 6.
And yeah, it went up because it was, down. It was almost like 9 points, I think, when they were talking
I got
about.
4.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, and it slowly went.
It started at 6. It's now down to 3.5.
Right. The more that they see Josh isn't going to play, the spread's going closer and closer. But I totally think the Bills win this game against the Vikings at home, even with Keenum as a quarterback.
Okay, so you're going Bills. I'm going Vikings.
Yeah.
I'm going Vikings. I got Vikings to win too.
And the reason for that is if you actually put in Case Keenum and you still don't really have a great running game with the Bills. I mean, it's decent. But when your quarterback is your top runner because he's scrambling much like Justin Fields is doing, that's a lot of broken plays because your offensive line is either A, not doing its job, or B, your quarterback is trying to extend the play because their receivers aren't open. So I just don't see Case Keenum getting it done.
Nope.
Okay.
So,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
so in that, we talked about as of right now, halfway through the season, in the AFC, who do you have as your top 3 teams in AFC, and top 3 in their NFC?
Well, I'll say Niners, Eagles, and Cowboys. In the NFC. AFC, of course, it's the Chiefs, Bills, and
That's the tough one. That
that
third
is a
one in the
tough
AFC, right?
Yeah, right off the bat, I'm sure everybody thinks the Dolphins, but I don't
I agree.
I don't know.
I don't.
See, James sent me this.
I guess probably the Bengals again.
Okay.
Even though they are struggling.
And the Bengals are below the Tennessee Titans.
But the Bengals were the team last year that turned it on the second half and then, of course, did what they did.
Right.
Bills and KC are tied at 6-2.
Mhm.
But didn't you say one of them had the tiebreaker?
The Bills have it right now.
That's what I thought. Bills had the tiebreaker.
Yep.
And then Baltimore, Jets, and Dolphins are all at 6-3. And then Tennessee was at 5-3 because they haven't played as many games.
So that's where I'm on the fence. I have, obviously, Bills, Chiefs. But to me, it's the Ravens, Titans. Is that same Titans team that played Kansas City who I'm going to see going forward? If not, I have the Ravens starting to figure out their defense and Lamar Jackson being Lamar. I put the Ravens in as my number 3 team in the AFC. I think they're going to finish out winning the North. I would love to see the Bengals, of course, to do it again. But I think right now, the Ravens would have to be my number 3 team in the AFC.
and who stays healthy. Right now, we're at the halfway point. Josh Allen can't stay healthy. Dak is coming back from the NFC from an injury. Does he stay healthy?
Yep. NFC, the only thing difference, I have Cowboys, Niners. I agree. I think they're the top two teams, but I have the Seahawks as my number 3 team.
Over the Eagles?
I think, like I said, I think the Eagles are a very weak 8-0 team, and if they face any of these teams in the playoffs, they're done at first round. Whoever they see in the first round, if they don't falter in their last 4 games of the season.
Roger's laughing. I wish y'all could see this because the entire time that James is saying this, Roger's laughing. And in my mind, James, you could be 100% correct, but I think part of that is your Cowboys fanism is getting in the way of seeing how good the Eagles actually are.
But have they done anything?
Yeah, they beat your Cowboys
without their quarterback. And it was close.
It was close,
Right.
and it should have been close. It should have been close.
No, it should not have been close.
Because both teams have great defenses.
Oh my goodness, that's okay. Now, when the Eagles get put out in the first round, the first game they play, they'll probably have that bye.
Well, they got to be the number 1 seed to get that bye, and that's not set yet. I mean,
it's not. You're right.
Only one team gets a bye now.
Yes,
not 2. So,
but they do. They are in the driver's seat. If they're supposedly the best team in the NFC, they'll win out. And
they're one game. Well, is the Vikings the only one-loss team?
Yeah,
Yes.
Vikings are 7-1.
Yeah.
Cowboys are 6-2.
Okay, Cowboys 6-2.
And neither one of you
Giants
guys put
6-2.
Giants
also.
are 6-2.
Yeah.
And Seattle's 6-3. The Niners are 4-4, coming strong and fast.
I think the Giants go like 2-6 the rest of the year and miss the playoffs.
Where are the Vikings in your top 3? At 6-1.
Not in the top 3
because they're weak.
Well,
I'm just saying.
Yeah, I just think the Cowboys are better than them. Yeah. I do, and it's the defense.
Right.
It's the defense.
Okay, so right now, if you have a 3-team, Philly, San Fran, and Cowboys, and all those teams play each other, who comes out on top?
Dallas or the Niners. Yeah. Dallas or the Niners.
Roger goes Niners.
Yeah.
You go Cowboys.
Yeah. But again, none of us are going to pick the Eagles. When you pick those 3 teams and say, hey, they have to play a round robin, the Eagles doesn't beat either one of those teams.
I'm going to say the Eagles right now. Today, the Eagles. 3 weeks from now, it could be the Niners.
This weekend, Eagles-Niners play. Who would you pick? Straight up neutral field. Niners at Eagles, Eagles at Niners. Doesn't matter.
Eagles.
You'd pick the Eagles beat the Niners this weekend.
I would.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I might too. But I think the Niners do get better throughout the year, and that by the end, I think they will be the best team.
At 4-4, though, they can't afford too many more get-right games.
Yeah.
They need to be winning because Seattle's already getting the driver's seat of that division.
Yeah.
So they're going to have the wild card
with an extra
in.
game now, 17 games instead of 16 games. It's very likely that a 9-8 team makes
8 and 9.
Play.
8 and 9 will, yeah.
Even maybe an 8 and 9.
Yeah.
But a 9-8 team is pretty good chance could make it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, there's a lot of teams that are sitting at 9-8. I mean, by the end of the year.
And I know you wanted to talk about the Astros, so this is my segue. So the team that got into the World Series, the Phillies, okay, to make a comparison to the NFL, were they a 4-4 team and they still got to this World Series?
Yes.
I think they were as well.
They fired their coach. They were playing so bad.
Yeah.
Right.
Or manager.
Yeah. I know. They call it manager, but
yeah.
But that was my segue because Roger wanted to talk about the Astros.
Yeah. I just wanted to congratulate the Astros and especially Dusty Baker. He's been at it a long time. He deserves it.
Yep.
Now the World Series, of course, Game 3 when the Phillies hit 5 home runs and
7 home runs in 5 innings.
Yeah, 5 innings, and they were everybody jumped on that Phillies. Oh, they're going to continue to hit, and they're going to win it all. Well, what did they do the next 3 games? What did they do? Score 2 runs?
2 runs.
Games?
Yes, exactly.
This World Series Astros pitching was phenomenal. I don't think I would put it up there with the best pitching.
Right.
Because, of course, I'm more of the get the ball into the starter and have him
7 innings.
Yeah, have him have him pitch the complete game.
Right.
You know, you ain't going to walk out on the mound and take the ball from a Nolan Ryan or Steve Carlton or somebody back in the 80s, and you're just not going to. They're going to tell you to go sit down.
Yep.
But in today's game, it's the bullpen, and this might be the best pitching we might see in a long time.
And back to that 7 homers, the guy was tipping his pitches. So if we go back to it, Houston would have corrected it sooner. If they would have saw it or picked up on it as fast as Philly did,
they wouldn't have won.
There's a good chance they wouldn't have hit all those. So when you're back to that pitching, I agree. You know, like I said, going in, Houston's pitching was unbelievable throughout the playoffs and going into the World Series. McCullers has the biggest hiccup of his career. He might not ever do that, and he might be a Cy Young next year. But yeah, after that, Houston pitching is like, oh, no, we're not going to lose this again like we did against.
They no hit him.
Yeah.
Do the Astros have enough money to pick up Aaron Judge?
I hope so. I heard the Rangers were pretty close.
The Rangers?
Yeah.
Okay, I heard Giants. San Francisco Giants.
Whoever
They
wants
said
to pay him, take
Giants
him.
are huge on going after him.
Go ahead.
I would like to see him go to whoever has the best batting coach to shore up that little bit of his game where instead of swinging for the fences, he advances the runner no matter what.
Right.
Because he did that early in the season, but he also got his home runs.
Yeah. And that's my thing. I think that what we saw of Judge the last 2 months was what you're going to get more from him the rest of his career. I think he started off so phenomenal, was locked in. And then I think, you know, like I always say, the averages pan out and you're going to be what you're going to be. I think those last couple months, including the playoffs, is what Aaron Judge is going to be the next 4 or 5 years. And these teams that give him that 240, 250, whatever he wants, is going to be in a world of hurt.
We talked a lot of stuff today, all over the place, like normal. We have Rogers Falcons tonight playing the Panthers. You've got also some college football. You have some NBA. You got your hockey.
And on that college football, have you guys noticed there's a game every single day of a college football game every single day all the way up to Thanksgiving? They've been playing Tuesday, Wednesday night games.
WAC conferences, you know, the smaller ones.
Except for Monday. They usually don't play on Monday.
No, I'm sorry. No, I shouldn't have said college. I'm sorry. There's a football game every single day if you want your fill, because ESPN's been showing them too all the way through Thanksgiving. That is crazy. They've never had Tuesday, Wednesday games, let alone Tuesday. And this early, I don't know about early, but this way through the season, and now you get football every single day if you want it.
And you could go and watch YouTube clips of Earl Campbell if you wanted to. There's a lot of stuff out there. Any parting thoughts, Roger?
College basketball, any interest right now?
It's
Kansas has no first place votes. There's 4 teams that have first place votes.
I wonder, do you think that's because Self is out for the first 4 games?
Which was self-imposed by Kansas themselves.
Right.
Yeah.
But they always have talent. They're always going to be in the top 25. As far as a top number 1, I don't know. I think it's too early to tell. College, you have kids leave. I
have no idea.
Revamping the rosters. Yeah. Oklahoma's already been upset this year. Louisville just got upset last night by a school that doesn't even have 4,000 kids enrolled in it. So, to me, it's too early to say who's number 1. Let's see about that week 7 or by that 7th, 8th game and see Kentucky, their first game looked really good to me.
How many times did the number 1 team lose last year?
Right.
It seemed like every time someone got number 1, they got knocked off, got knocked off.
Yeah.
Creighton's top 10 team.
Yep. And we'll have to see how long that lasts, because that East, man, they seem to struggle. Not struggle, but they get battled in that East a lot.
Anybody know the Nebraska kid, Sam Greisel? Scored 22 points, led the Huskers. First game of the year. He played for North Dakota State, came back to Lincoln. I think it's probably his COVID eligibility year that he's using up here at Nebraska. He's a Lincoln boy. Come back to Nebraska.
Okay.
So he's scored 22 points. I don't know nothing about him. I thought maybe you guys might. I don't.
I read a little bit about him. I don't know anything about him personally, but today they are playing in Lincoln against the UNO Mavs. So
Yeah.
if you have the ability to go to Pinnacle Bank Arena and check them out, I say do it. And yeah, we have a hometown kid that made that transfer. If you don't have the ability and you have BTN Plus, they're on BTN Plus tonight. That's a 7:00 tip-off for the UNO men's basketball. Parting thoughts, James?
I'm good.
All right. We've got a lot of sports. Go watch some sports. Thanks for listening.